I'm Heather Malone, Deputy Mayor, and I'm here today talking to Kevin Cooper with regards to our concerns about the banana freckle. Kevin, my first question is, what is banana freckle?
Well, banana freckle is actually a common name for 3 different species of a fungus that infect bananas. Now, one of those 3 species occurs across Australia and doesn't cause us any problems. But the other 2 are foreign to Australia. And the one that we've just found in August 2013, that's one of those that we don't want in Australia, and it causes significant production losses across banana crops.
Okay, all right, so why is the National Banana Freckle Education Program needed?
So the eradication program that's basically kicked off in earnest from October last year. Up until that time, we were in the response phase, and that was delineating where the freckle actually occurred in the Northern Territory. So now the program's setting about eradicating freckle from the Northern Territory. And to do that, that's going to mean the destruction of all banana plants inside the eradication red zones, and those red zones are where the freckle was known to occur. So through our work, we've been able to show that freckle, that new strain of freckle, was found in those red zones, and so now what we're doing is seeking to remove the plants, so that the freckle will not survive in those red zones.
Okay, so what does it look like in our area? What does banana freckle look like?
Freckle is essentially a small sort of pimple-sized lesion on the leaves, a little bit smaller, but it has a very sandpapery appearance to it. Now, I would hope at the moment, at this phase of the campaign, you're not likely to see very many cases of freckles. Most of the properties that have had freckle have been destroyed, and the number of places remaining with banana plants is small compared to where we were 3 months ago. But we're certainly keen for people to be on a lookout for freckle, particularly those areas outside the eradication zones. So sandpapery-like and about the size of a pimple, and they'll occur on both sides of the leaves. It's the leaves that we're interested in, less so about the fruit.
Okay, and how is it spread?
Spread most easily is actually by humans, by people moving plant material around. That's why at the moment there's a restriction on plants being moved, so you can't move banana plants into, out of, or within a red zone unless they're going to a tip. So moving plants is the highest risk, and so we'd like people not to do that. In a natural setting, water is a key ingredient in terms of moving freckle around, but in the urbanised environment, water's still a factor, but it's not understood how well water plays a part in that. Okay. Moving in the air, that is by wind, is not well documented for freckle. Freckle only occurs on banana plants, does not survive in the soil. So it doesn't get moved around as such with the soil, it gets moved around with banana plants. So it's the plant material that's the secret to stopping the spread.
Good. Okay, so how widespread is our problem in the Northern Territory?
So at the moment you can see the distribution based on the 6 eradication red zones. So clearly the Darwin is the biggest of those, so that includes the rural area, so it runs right down. But we've had cases confirmed at Tiwi, Daly River, Rum Jungle, Bachelor, so one site, Dundee Beach and Ramangini. So the good news is to date that all the banana plants have been removed from Ramangini and Tiwi, so already the disease that was there is disappearing because there's no plants, it's not going to survive, and we have very few plants left at Rum Jungle, Bachelor and also Daly River. So inside the Darwin area is where the majority of the 226 cases were found on both Cavendish and non-Cavendish. So all varieties of bananas affected.
So how is the best way to stop the spread?
Best way to stop the spread is to remove banana plants. If there's no banana plant, this fungus, this new strain of freckle, cannot survive. So cut the plant out, treat the plant, and once the plant decomposes, there's no possibility of that host surviving.
What are the phases of the eradication program?
So we've got 3 phases, and we're currently in phase 1, which is actually the destruction phase. So we're identifying all the locations with plants, and those plants are being removed. So phase 1 runs to the end of April this year, so April 2015. So all the plants will be removed from the red zones by then, and with the support of the community, we're on track. It's going very well. We're happy we're going to reach that. Phase 2, referred to as the fallow period, will run from May this year, May 2015, through to the end of April 2016. So that is no plants inside the eradication red zones.
Okay.
And what everyone's looking forward to is basically 1st of May 2016, from then on through to April 2017 is the replanting phase, the sentinel phase. So that's where there'll be controlled reintroduction. We want a lot of people, 3,500 to 4,000 households, we'll provide them with plants, and those plants will act as sentinels so that we can be sure that the freckle has gone. And then after May 2017, everything will be back to normal. There will still be some monitoring in the following 12 months, but basically things will be normalised after that date.
Okay. Is there help with the destruction of the banana plants available for the residents?
One of the key activities of the program at the moment is any premise that's identified with banana plants. So whether it's a commercial grower or a household, they have the option of either removing the plants themselves, which about 10% of people have done, and thank you very much for that support. But the freckle team, as it were, will come out and assist with the removal of the plant and also the removal of the plant material off site. And people can ring for an appointment, and that includes a Saturday. So if they ring the hotline, the team will be able to come out and meet with the time that suits them.
Okay, does the actual banana freckle affect the actual fruit?
Banana freckle affects both the fruit and the productivity of the plant. So certainly what's well known across the community is that the fruit gets blemishes on it. And so some people are prepared to accept those blemishes, but in a marketplace, the people that buy bananas are not prepared to accept those blemishes. So the fruit gets downgraded. But what's more important is that this disease will reduce productivity of the plants by up to 35%. So that's pretty much 1 out of 3 bananas won't be grown in the future if this disease was to become established. And then if it is established, in a commercial sense, people would have to start using increased use of fungicide to try and control the disease. So 2 cases of increased cost, one because you get less bananas, and then also more use of fungicide to actually control the freckle.
Okay. Will there still be availability of bananas in our market?
Absolutely. We're working very closely with the wholesalers, particularly around Darwin, and they've actually got permits in place to be able to continue to acquire bananas and supply them to the supermarkets. And we're working with a couple of them closely to also try and get supply to those weekend markets as well. We know they're an important part of what is the culture of Darwin and the surrounding areas.
And with the price of bananas, is this whole program going to affect the price of bananas?
There's no indication at the moment that the supply of bananas, particularly to Darwin, but also to some of those regional areas, is going to increase. We've clearly been keeping an eye on that. We're consumers like everyone else, so we've been having a look each time we go to the supermarket, and we're pretty confident at the moment that the banana supply into Darwin, provided there's no cyclones and things that affect where they're grown, should be pretty much what people would expect them to be.
Okay, how do we know that the person at our front door is from the Banana Freckle program?
Look, this is very important to us, that when people are meeting someone from the program, they do ask for their identification. So the first thing that ought to be very obvious is that they have a very distinctive shirt which has NT Government and also the Freckle program embroidered on the shirt. And each of those people, at least 1 out of the 2 that attend, will have an authority card with a picture and ID on them as an inspector under the Act. So if they don't have that ID, I'd suspect they either contact the program or they contact the police because they're not a legitimate member part of the program.
So how do they actually contact the team?
They can ring the hotline or they can send us an email. So the hotline 1800 771 163 or banana@nt.gov.au, and we'll get back to them if we can't answer it straight away, but it's pretty much there 24/7, and the email is very good for us because we're able to get back to people in their time as well as ours.
Okay, in closing, I was just wondering if you had any further comments or advice that you could give our banana growers or residents that are still feeling concerned.
What's really important is we can eradicate banana freckle from the Northern Territory. This is very much doable. The great support we've been getting from the community across the board, not only with the destruction phase, which is everyone focuses on, but the management around movements. There's a high level of compliance around that. And so if we continue to get that support, we'll be able to eradicate it. Right now in the phase, the key thing is any plant that remains in a red zone is a potential reservoir for the fungus into the future. So if we all keep working together to remove those plants by the end of April, we're going to be well on our way to eradicating freckle from the Northern Territory.
Fantastic. Okay, I really appreciate your time today, and thank you very much for coming in. That was Kevin Cooper from the Banana Freckle Eradication Program, and thank you very much for coming in to spend some time with us and answer our concerns today, Kevin.
Thanks very much, Heather.
Thank you.